Hey, I'm Chris Josh, and today I'll be talking about Jean-Paul Gaultier's La Male and La Male Le Parfum. First, we're going to talk about La Male, the original, Eau de Toilette. Now, a lot of people these days say this is getting too old, you're going to smell like her father, it's outdated. What do I think? Let's start with the atomizer test first. Oof. One more spray. Beautiful atomizer. I would have to give it 8.5, 8.8. And is it played out? I mean, we have so many options these days, but I personally love it. I love it. It's unique. I still get compliments on this. Now, is it so bad to smell like her father? I mean, if you fart and he farts, you two smell alike. If you work in the garden or the yard for 3 hours and he did the same, you're going to smell like him too. It's not always a bad thing. But let's talk about the main accords. It's aromatic, vanilla, fresh spicy, lavender, warm spicy, green, powdery, sweet, amber, and cinnamon. Now, a lady at Macy's told me that this was the first fragrance that used vanilla. I kind of find that hard to believe. I'm going to have to do more research on that. But it might be the first one that was wildly successful. And on a side note, this does have, let me see, amber. Yes. Amber is used a lot in fragrance because it tends to last longer, okay, than a top note, for example. So what is the Fragrantica score? Surprisingly, it's only a 4.01 out of 5. That's actually surprising. This reminds me of barbershop products, but not quite. It's not cheap. Very smooth. That's a compliment I got the other day from my friend. She said it's very, very smooth. And you get the mint. That's the green. You get the mint. You get the lavender. You definitely smell the vanilla. What are the top notes? We have lavender, mint, cardamom, and bergamot. Now, there's a slight hint of cardamom. Oh, there's also artemisia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But a wonderful concoction when it comes to all the notes. The middle notes, we have cinnamon, orange blossom, which I can recognize here, and caraway. I do recognize a little bit of cinnamon. And as far as the base note, we got vanilla and tonka bean, amber, sandalwood, and cedar. Now, this is a freshie to me. I don't get a whole lot of woods, although it is there. This is an all year round fragrance. You really can't go wrong. And if you're a fan of Jean-Paul Gaultier, you might want to add it to your collection just to have it. But as I always recommend, you can always get a decant of 2 mils or 5 mils and not be too invested and see if you like it. Now, I'll tell you this. I got this bottle from fragrancenet.net or .com. It's a discounter. When I went to Macy's, I bought Le Parfum, and the lady gave me an atomizer that she sprayed La Male in. And the one I got from Macy's differed slightly than the one I got from the discounter. And that was really my first time dealing with a discounter. And nowadays, I'm kind of skeptical of them. And I would rather pay the extra money at the department store just to have the peace of mind knowing I got the original one. Because I'll tell you this, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but like in the clothing industry, you have different levels of fakes. You have the fakes that are obvious to spot. Then you have, the mid tier, which are, still noticeable. Then you got good fakes, and then you got fakes you can't even spot. They'll pass StockX's verification, for example, or maybe even eBay's verification. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that was going on in the fragrance industry. So do what you will with that information. I'm not trying to scare anyone. Now, moving along to Lamel Le Parfum. Beautiful bottle. I like the color. And do I like the fragrance? Let's see. Here's an atomizer test. I don't want it to go into my microphone. Very good atomizer, as usual with all the Jean Paul Gaultiers. And this, I don't even know why they had to name it Lamel. I think the only reason is because it has the lavender and the cardamom, although the cardamom is front and center in this one. But this one has less notes. And I'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to talk about the main accords. It's warm spicy, which I get a lot of. It's vanilla, lavender, aromatic, powdery, iris, woody, amber, and violet. Now, before I go on, I forgot to give you a score for Lamel EDT. My score for this, I would have to give it a solid 8.4, which is not a bad score at all. It's going to be hard for me to give out a 10 or even like a 9.5. So based on that scale, it's very good. It's not my favorite fragrance of all time. Now back to Lamel Le Parfum. This one, I'll give you the score in a second, but let's talk about the notes. It's very mature. Okay, it's very well put together. Whereas the other one is a little more, I'm going to get a haircut type of deal, right? Although you can wear it on other occasions too. But this one is more like Batman, more nighttime, right? It is almost for someone who kind of bends the rules. Really good. The cardamom is really sexy. This one doesn't project that far. And as far as my skin, it really starts to fade away after a couple of hours. And it becomes a skin scent, but it's still good. But it doesn't last anywhere near as Lamel Elixir. So the top notes, we got cardamom. Middle notes, we got lavender, which is what it shares with the original. It has iris, which is why it's powdery. And it's the powdery iris, not the makeup. And in the base, we have vanilla, oriental notes, and woodsy notes. What is my rating on this one? This, I would have to give it a solid 8.9. It is a solid fragrance, and I do recommend, try a decant, but I feel like it is blind buy safe. Until next time, take care and have a good one.